Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
I think it's that time. It's that time to talk about the Bachelorette on our show.
Indeed.
Once again, shout out to everybody finding us on YouTube. Make sure if you like our content to subscribe and also give this video a like so we can make more of these for you. Shout out to everyone that's finding us on there because it's dope. That's what we do the video for. But everybody that's listening, shout out to you as well. And V, where do we start this week? We got Fantasy Suites.
Fantasy Suites, they're in Mexico. So they, we've talked about order before, and it was actually interesting because later in the episode, even the guys were kind of discussing what they thought what order made more sense or where that meant they stood in Michelle's eyes. But first up, we had Brandon, sweet puppy dog Brandon. They, go on a romantic horseback ride on the beach, through the water, have a little...
Yeah, he's really excited about going first. Like, I feel like he feels like he won because he gets to go first.
He feels really confident about being first. He feels like, that she knows, where she stands with him,
and in
whatever.
His head, he feels like going first is, like, literally winning the fantasy suite.
Right.
Sweet.
Because, she's so sure, and whatever is how he frames it. He is gushing heavy on this date. He is talking about how his heart is on the table for her. She's everything to him. This he can't see his life without her. He loves her. He says all that. She says,
he's super emo, and
he's.
It just feels
sappy sap.
It feels like a teenager in love or something like that. Not like a man falling in love with.
He seems a little emotionally immature.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I've gotten those vibes from him throughout the season. I think he's sweet, but I don't think he's emotionally as mature as Michelle.
The only reason why I say this
Michelle is emotionally guarded.
Yeah, because the only reason why I say this is because I've been one of those cheesy guys before in the past. It's not like I've shedded all the cheese, but I haven't shed all the cheese yet.
Shedded all the cheese, shredded it.
Oh no, shedding cheese. I haven't shredded my cheese yet. No, that's cool. But yeah, no, I honestly. Back in the day, you think that's what girls want to hear and stuff because, you're just saying nice things.
Because rom-coms have fed us bullshit.
That too. And obviously in real life, I mean, girls, especially pretty girls, hear stuff like that all the time. So,
or we just want actually intentional nice things said to us, something that's just bullshit.
It's just it's not even just bullshit. Sometimes it's just straight up cringy,
a cliche.
Or cliche. So, less is more sometimes. So, I used to think more was more. That's just kind of where Brandon is. I feel like he feels like he's so confident. His words.
He feels like he's just overflowing with love. Yeah. I think he just doesn't even know, which is where I say the whole emotional immaturity. I think he just truly doesn't even know how to channel his feelings.
Like someone who has never been in a relationship where you've fought before. It's what do you think is gonna be this? We're gonna get married and fly into the air in a convertible or something at the end of Greece.
I don't know, float away.
Yeah, but anyway, so the horse, he gets on the horse tries to take off. I hate horse dates for these because I feel like you can't really be around each other, but it ends up being beautiful and romantic, and they sit down and he's just gushing over her, and that all kind of continues into dinner, where he is obviously ready to be alone with her, and she hands him over the date card, and she's like, I just wanted to say thank you, but it's really just an invitation to stay the night with her, and he is so excited. What did you think about their night together? Or what did you think about the next morning when you saw them and everything?
And then they did a little food fight in the morning.
Yeah, I didn't like this. This is where
it felt very as I said, very playful. It almost felt like in her like a little aside, she said something about him being like her best friend. I feel like even though they're like playful and they kiss and they do whatever, I don't know how physical they might have gotten that night. I feel like they were like just up, like maybe cuddling and talking. And like he was just waxing poetic about how much he, adores her.
Interesting. So, I mean, yeah, he like shoves like an empanada in her face, and it didn't seem like she liked that at all.
I mean, I wouldn't like it either.
I wouldn't either. And honestly,
I also think food fights are stupid.
Oh yeah, but I mean, at that point, because she was so mad, she
also,
shoved a whole
who
sandwich
in
in his
production
face.
has such a fucking food thing that is encouraging all this weird food play? Could we stop?
That
I'm
or just the waste of food, and someone has to clean up those sheets. But yeah, so anyways, I was getting the vibe that nothing happened with them that night. But so we go back and it's like kind of like the most awkward thing. This is probably the most awkward of the first night back conversations that I've seen.
Right.
And I'm trying to think back, like it started with like Pilot Pete's season, and I think when they did it, it was with that girl Maddie. She was a virgin, right? So they put her last, and then they wanted her to kind of like bubble up with like probably anger as like the other two girls like went on the fantasy suite with him and came back. So
well, and it was even interesting because this whole like bit where they now keep them all like in the same room, just like hanging out until it's their fantasy suite where they used to sequester them. They like seemingly had Joe and Nayte just chilling all fucking day long and like just then having to sit there and watch the fireworks that went off for Brandon and Michelle. Like that's just weird to me. Like they're like, actually, you guys can't leave this room.
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like literally a form of torture. Like it's like some weird form of torture, but they have to see like the fireworks going off, and then they come back and Brandon is not like this kind of shows a little bit more of his immaturity. Like it felt like he was very like made it more awkward by being like, I'm not telling you guys anything. He just got like
really defensive.
Right.
I feel like any of his interactions thus like afterwards seemed defensive because he's like, that's my girl, like I'm gonna marry her, like whatever. And like then even like Nate's all like, you don't know that yet, like you don't know, like whatever. Like Nayte has like a whole different, each dude has a very different perspective. Like Brandon seems very immature about it where he's all like, that's my wife. Joe is nervous. No, Joe just like is in his head about it, which is the typical response from people like during this. And then Nayte is like very confident, being all like, nah, I know what we got. Like, why am I going to worry about you guys?
Yeah.
Like,
and the show started with some weird, like they were bros last week, but like this week, like they definitely came in.
It was
with some
bros
animosity.
to foes. That's even what Nayte said.
Bros to foes.
Bros to foes.
Yeah. So, Brandon doesn't really give much of an answer, kind of like was a little hostile about it and made it even more awkward. He was just making it like awkward as hell. But, anyways, it's Joe's turn up next, and he heads out. And, this date, I mean, they have to go on a little picnic, but it's at the bottom of a zip line, and he's obviously nervous about it, and says, I'm going to be a gentleman and let ladies go first. And she's like, whatever, I'll go first. And she goes.
She's like, she's all for it.
Yeah. So, and, how'd that date go?
I thought it was interesting because, like, even Michelle made comments, like, this is the loudest, the most vocal Joe's been, I feel like, as a viewer that we've seen, because he's like screaming, hooping and hollering, like making little like jokes, whatever, like throughout this date. Like he definitely is finally like seemingly warming up. Like they do some stuff with some horses. There's a lot of horse.
I didn't see the ending of this coming, really. I didn't really. I obviously I thought Nayte was going home. I've been saying for the last couple weeks.
Me too.
Yeah, but this was kind of like an edit that we got for Clayton when he went home. On his episode, where you see a lot more of him and maybe a little bit more of his personality, because I felt like Joe really blossomed in this episode. Like
me too.
To me, I don't understand. Like he seems like and this has happened a couple times in the last couple years. Now I wouldn't say for the last couple seasons, but the last couple years, I feel like there's like an obvious choice, and for some reason, it's not obvious to the lead. And
Yeah, he feels well, and she even sort of says stuff about how he would make the most sense. Like they understand each other on a different level than her other contestants, because like they grew up very similarly. They had, they're both like athletes. They understand that life. Like, I mean, and obviously the physical attraction is there. Joe is the most attractive one.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, it's like, if you want this to actually work, like, the closest you would be to finding someone in your own city, this would be the guy, right?
Right. Well, exactly. That's my thing, is like, especially because like Michelle's not like many of these other leads that are all like, I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to move to whatever. Like, she, as a teacher, has like kind of like her things that she needs to do in Minnesota. Like, she can't really just be like hopping over and away, you know, it doesn't work that easily.
I mean, this is just a really funny scenario because Michelle's so smart. She's got 3 people she's dating. Like, if you were dating 3 people in your real life, you'd kind of probably be in a similar situation, right? Where you're looking for, it's kind of like, what's it called? The bears in the house, like, too hot, too cold.
Oh, Goldilocks.
Goldilocks
yes.
bears. A theme we've had in the past, but it's kind of like that, where like someone's like too hot, too cold, just right. Like, that's literally how I feel about these guys.
And I felt like Joe, even though like their relationship has been slower because he's a little bit less warm to open up, he still like, said that he was falling in love with her. He still gave her all those things that she's been wanting to hear, and, fits, I feel like, what she wants pretty well. So I guess it's interesting because we go into Nayte's date, which is last.
Well, before we go there, I just kind of want to talk about, so she ends up extending the fantasy suite to Joe, and they wake up the next morning, his shirt's off. Do you think they did it? He looks
sexy as hell. I can't even.
I mean, he's a good looking, like, he's definitely the best looking. They're all three good looking guys.
I think they're all attractive,
but Joe
like,
is definitely just like a beautiful person, like, just like
it's those
all
light
around.
eyes.
He's just like just a nice, except for the fact that he just doesn't have, you definitely got to see him be more goofier. I mean, necessarily do girls want more goofier? No, but they definitely want you to be like more open, and he's more reserved, an introvert.
And she's just she says she's very extroverted.
Yeah.
And he's introverted, which I think you can have that relationship work, but I think she did have some concerns, I guess, in that area.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think they did the nasty?
I mean, maybe. I see it more just like their body, like language in the morning seemed a little bit more close than hers and Brandon's, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just noting, we gotta, what is it? I don't know how to keep score of this, but 0 for 1.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. 1 for 3 so far. For people that we think
I'd say like a 0.75 for 3. We don't know.
Right. Okay.
Maybe some of the bases were rounded, but not all.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So Nayte is having interesting conversations around, and I thought it was very interesting because, and he also had a good point. Contrary to points we've made probably in past episodes, past years of talking about this conversation, but the conversation is around the order of who goes first, who goes second, who goes third, what's the best position to be in. And we've gone up and down. I've seen, the
Bachelor data has posted stuff where it seems like last tends to be the area that gets eliminated the most, actually. But
I mean, it's just barely, though. Like, I feel like, because
it's a pretty even split recently.
Right. So, I honestly, I think like Nayte had a good point when it came to talking about going third, and he was like, I think third is actually the best, and he made some good points about it because he said, if I was in Michelle's shoes, I would keep the one that I was worried about the least last, right?
Right.
Something like that. And as for a guy, you'd want to kind of go last. Because, like, if you're assuming she had sex with these guys, and if you go last, maybe you're the freshest in her mind when she goes to make these decisions. And then also, you could also say, like, I was the last guy she was with, like, you know, at post,
True.
you know, so you can't really say that after you go to propose to her. Think of how jacked up that is. You go to propose to someone that probably just had sex with someone like within the last week. It's so jacked up. Like, now I'm starting to understand why parents are just like, if the parents understand that right away, this is a jacked up situation for anybody.
Well, this is my thing, is like, it's just how the show is made and how it like continues to stigmatize like sex in general. Like, it's just it sticks to like this very, like, the societal norms that we've had when it comes to relationships.
I think that's why when they kept the 3 fantasy suites separate or originally, that was for like the integrity of these relationships, because it really, I mean, how are they supposed to last after this, after you watch the show, like, you know, or after knowing when someone comes back and seeing their face, like being all, like, that's going to affect your date. That's going to affect everything, I feel like sometimes. And keeping them all separate kind of like gives a little bit of integrity to the actual marriage at the end of it, if that makes sense, or the actual like engagement at the end of it. So yeah, I mean, he had some good points about going last, and at first I thought like she was not into it, because I thought she really, the misdirect of like how much of a good time she had with Joe made it seem.
Well, and also last week, like, seemingly a lot of Nate's family like was like pretty much saying like, you know, I don't think he's ready. She hadn't been getting the answer from him that she's been wanting, of like him saying that, you know, he wants to be like with her, that he's in love with her. Like,
I know he eventually gets there with her and stuff.
Yeah, he does, after like their boat ride and whatever. And after she pretty much like keeps pressuring him, because he keeps being like,
yeah, she fed it to him because he wouldn't say anything.
Right, because he kept being all like, I mean, who knows? Like, you know, like, who knows what will happen? Or, like, things change, or people do, like, whatever. Like, I like to live this or that. And she's all like, but, like, I need to know if we're on the same page. Which, like, I totally get her. I totally get, like, being all like, she's worried that she likes him more than he likes her. And, like, to me, it kind of seems that way. Like, I feel like she's all in.
Oh man, I'm getting all up in my feels right now, because I just feel like we're watching someone make a mistake, like, you know, and we've all made this mistake where like it's just like you like someone more than they like you. It happens to all of us, even if you're the Bachelorette or even if you're the lead. But and it goes back to what is more important to us in today's day, like actual love or actual like companionship and forever, like,
and
you know,
compatibility, and like, yeah.
Or are we always just constantly as humans trying to chase things we can't have, or things that like we think we can change, or things that we want but like, you know, that are just outside of our reach, but if we could just touch it, we can make something of it. Like, because
like, I mean, Nate's been a front runner. He's charismatic. He's like always like, you know, made the environment around her like fun, light, great, even like during some of the heavier points of this season.
And he's tall. That's the
and he's fucking tall.
That's the thing that pisses me off about him.
But he wears the same swim trunks this whole entire episode again that he wore last time. It was the bright orange swim trunks.
Maybe he just has one pair, and that's
insane to me. That is insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely at least bring 3.
I know, right? But like,
or like make it like a black pair, so it's not like you're
so obvious.
Obviously,
I don't
the
know.
same. Yeah. So, anyways, at the end of these fantasy suites, he gets it. What's the next morning like with him? Also, he had a huge zit on his head, so I was like, "Damn, dude, he's going home." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I was thinking. But no,
you're like, "Yo, get a pimple patch on that bitch. Let's go."
No. The cameras can't hide that. But yeah. So, anyways, what was the next morning like for him?
Oh, they definitely did it.
Yeah.
Like, Michelle looked dickmatized. She looked like she was like, this man didn't even really give her like a straight answer. Like, homeboy is still like saying like, oh, this is possible, this could be our life, whatever, and sis is out here in her little like interview saying that he's her soulmate.
Yeah, but she said that about like Brandon too. She did overuse I think like the way she uses soulmate is kind of weird. I don't know how.
Yeah, I feel like for every dude, she pretty much said how she's falling in love with them. So like she definitely is in a pickle, seemingly going into this rose ceremony.
So they go into the rose ceremony, and I
was blown.
I thought it was either Nate or Brandon that were going home.
Me too. I was blown away when Nate got the first rose.
Yeah, I knew that wasn't
I was
good.
all like,
well, before that even happens, is Brandon pulls Michelle to the side and pulls some move. Like, it's never a good move to do that. I mean, it probably was a good move for him. But
yeah.
But just he got into her feelings. Do you think that conversation affected her decision, or do you think she already knew it?
I don't know. I don't know if it affected. I mean, I could see it definitely felt very Hail Mary-ish for Brandon to do that, especially because he was the first one. So he's all like, damn, I got to get back into her brain space because it's been a while. But so maybe that could have like made her think back to like, wow, everything was so easy and great with Brandon. This man adores me, especially because I feel like as someone who's, I think, been in similar situations to her where you've been with somebody who makes you not feel so good, makes you feel like you have to work to be, for them to care about you a certain way or whatever. I think, when you get somebody who is that nice to you all the time and like is saying all that kind of stuff, which I've then, dated people like that as well. You're like, well, I have to give them a chance, right? Like they're saying all these things to me. I have to give them a chance, even if like maybe potentially like they're not a good fit for you. So potentially, I
just don't know what I would do if I was her, to be honest. Like I really don't. That's why any decision she could have made yesterday would have been like, what? Like, right. I mean, the only one that she would have made that would have made sense to me was Nate. But like,
because.
But like, what I'm really thinking about her decisions are, you ever see like it happen? Or I mean, this is where someone could be so good on paper or on TV, and you be like, it's almost like you see celebrities break up and like. Look at like Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande. Right. They break up and you're like, oh my God, like Pete's gonna like, probably like go into depression. He'll never get another hot girl or something like that. But like what? Right. But I mean, obviously she was the one that broke up with him. But what if Pete broke up with her? Everyone would be like, how'd you let that go? Or how'd you, But sometimes just because they're pretty. And everyone else thinks that like, oh my God, I can't believe you had that and you let it go. It's like, you don't see that she never, takes out the trash or washes the dishes or, she does all this annoying stuff. Like, so maybe, Michelle got into that room and spent the night with Joe and was just like, on paper, he's everything I'd probably want, but like, it's just not there. That happens a lot, right?
I guess, yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of, and then on the flip side, when it comes to Nate, it's like, it looks like he's obviously the one that should be going home, but we don't know what their relationship is like, how much she really likes him, and all that. I
think we do know how much she really liked him. She seems to like him a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I was under the impression the last 2 weeks I thought he was going to go home by now.
Well, me too, because like logically that would have made sense, but I don't think this is the logic part when it comes to Nate.
Yeah. So Joe gets sent home.
Tearful goodbyes.
Yeah, it was hard to see.
It was rough.
I really do wonder if this is a decision she's going to regret. We didn't really get to talk about it, but before this all, ABC decided to make a decision to keep the part where Tayshia is talking about how Fantasy Suites was so important to her making her decision for her 12-month engagement that she was about to have. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of weird that they have her introduce like this part. They could have just easily cut down her like intro to Fantasy Suites, talking about how important it was to her and all this different stuff. because she just broke up with her fiance like 2 weeks ago. It's like
Right.
they couldn't have fixed that in time.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Right?
That is kind of weird.
Yeah. So it's almost like,
Because they have hours of stuff. Like, come on.
I mean, they couldn't shave off 2 minutes here and put 2 minutes on over here. Like, I don't know. But that was really weird to me. What do we get to see for the finale? It looks like Michelle's dad has some more stuff to say.
Well, yeah. So then her parents are going to show up. They're going to, probably have conversations with the last guys. It seems like, once again, somebody is being told, like, she's being told that somebody is seemingly not ready.
It's Nayte. It's Nayte. What are you talking about?
I mean, I would think it's Nayte.
It's not like Brandon has the type of verbiage that will go over well with parents. Maybe not like people our age and stuff.
I mean, technically, he already met the parents and they already
asked
vibed
for
with him.
Their hand in marriage, whatever. So yeah, I mean, I don't think this is gonna go good for Nayte, but I don't know. Like sometimes it's like this parent stuff or the family stuff kind of tends to make people want to be together more. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, I don't care if you don't like me.
It kind of depends, like if they want to be like rebellious, or if the family means that much to them that they're like, I don't want to go against what they think is right or whatever.
All right. So that was week 9 of The Bachelorette, and we got the finale next week before Christmas, right?
A 3-hour finale.
Is that on Tuesday or Monday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Cool. So I think we'll be potting the same time next week before Christmas. We'll come out Christmas Eve, right?
Yep.
Amazing. All right, guys. Well, do we have any other Bachelor news this week?
Yes. So Bachelor in Paradise Canada has wrapped up recently. And actually, Angela, who was known for being on, I think, Nick Viall's season, she went on after, she had been on 2 seasons of Bachelor in Paradise. She went on to Bachelor in Paradise in Canada and ended up finding, a partner, Brendan Morgan from that series. And, I guess they were the only couple that was left, still standing from that whole season. So I guess good for her.
It's crazy how much we enjoy Bachelor in Paradise, but we refuse to watch Bachelor in Paradise Canada, even though it has players.
Well, I mean, I just didn't even know how to watch it, and now I guess I could. Yeah. I guess it's like City TV. There's ways on the line.
Oh, there's ways. But yeah, so okay, Bachelor in Canada. We got a couple. Anything else?
Well, Colton just continues to be a douchebag in general with his whole monetizing his coming out journey, because he has recently been doing different a bit of a press junket of sorts, promoting his docu-series, as well as he was just on Call Her Daddy. And he along these different
that sounds like a really annoying episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't listen to Call Her Daddy, so I don't even know what that could have even sounded like. But in these different things, he said, how he doesn't really keep in touch with a lot of Bachelor Nation folks because, whatever. The person that he's still close with is former host Chris Harrison, which to me, I'm like, that's a red flag. But he said stuff about how, no one reached out to him after he came out, and both Nick Viall and Ben Higgins are coming, which, Nick is Nick. Nick is always ready to say something because he's got a platform and he thinks, he is all knowing when it comes to Bachelor stuff. He said, he's like, I definitely reached out to him. We've talked, whatever. But I believe even more Ben Higgins, because Ben Higgins is just a sweet, sweet man. He had reached out to Colton, and he's like, that really hit me hard in the heart. Him saying that he didn't feel supported by anybody, because he's like, I definitely texted him, called him, the whole 9. And I guess other stuff that he had said is that when he had his fantasy suite with Tayshia, he was wearing sweats, a whole sweatsuit, and she's all like, that's not true. He was wearing just his boxers. So I don't want him out here acting like this was a pity fantasy suite where, he was just in there, whatever. But yeah, so
I mean, that was a weird, I still remember that, how weird it was for Tayshia like right after that fantasy suite being how awkward it felt. I don't remember exactly what went down, but I just remember it being awkward. Like
Yeah,
like
it was
she
all
did just find out he was
awkward.
gay or something.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's just
good.
interesting. It sounds like, you know, kind of like what Caitlyn Jenner was doing when she kind of like, you know, changed. She kind of came out and like had this whole, you know, now she's in the public eye and, you know, making her rounds and stuff. It just seems like Colton is definitely using this as like as a platform to, you know, be in conversations around. I don't even know, like what is he trying to be a spokesperson for gay people? Like I don't know.
I don't know.
What exactly he's
I don't
trying to
know.
accomplish with what he's doing, because it's like, is he trying to be a star? Is he trying to be somebody? Like, what are you?
I mean, like, I'm happy for him to be like living his life truthfully now, but I think it's like he's really almost, to me it feels like very disgenuine, because he's like seemingly handling the harm that he had done while, you know, seemingly going through all this himself. Because like I just think about obviously Cassie, and you know, the fact that she tried to get a restraining order and whatever because he was stalking her, all these different things. Like I just feel like there seems to be a lot of harm that he's trying to cover.
Yeah,
But
I mean, right. I mean, now it just kind of, you look at it through a different lens, right? Like I would feel very stupid if someone came out publicly after we've dated and said that I've been gay the whole time. Like, you know, it's like you're making me look stupid here. Like, you know, I've been in a relationship with you for a year, and like this is
and you stalked me.
well,
And
I
like,
mean, well, we don't know like what the stalking was for though. Is it because like she knew his secret and like he was
seemingly not. She's from after he came out, she said that it was news to her.
really? Okay, interesting. Yeah, is there anything else for Bachelor Nation news?
Nope, I think that's it for now.
Wow, it's a lot. I don't even know where to start or end, but you know, there's always something there going on in the Batch Nation. So yeah, check us out next week for the finale, week 10 of Bachelorette. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. This one brought a lot of surprises, and I won't be surprised if I'm surprised next week. So,
Okay.
I always got to say something like that, you know, to wrap it up. But
Future Bachelor Podcast.